How do you do? Jen and Cam feel it would be unkind to present this program without a friendly word of warning. We are about to unfold our true crime podcast, a podcast of lifelong friends who seek to examine crimes which were committed without reckoning upon God. The discussion will be frank, and the subject matter will be of a grim and violent nature. I think it will thrill you. It might even horrify you. So, if there are young children listening, or if you feel unwilling to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to, well, we've warned you.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Kim. How are you?
I am dandylicious. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited about today's episode.
I hear we have something that is really unique and that we've never done before.
We've never done it at all before, and this is our very first time. It's our Virgin Tour. And today we are lucky enough to have our very best podcast friend, CJ from Beyond the Rainbow.
Everybody
Hi,
give it
CJ.
up.
Hi there, ladies.
CJ.
Oh my goodness, me and two virgins. Woohoo!
I know.
One of us is more virgin than the other.
Thank you, Camille. I'm glad you recognize that of me. Oh, I appreciate that. Anyway, we have CJ here because she does. You want to tell us a little bit about your podcast first, CJ?
Certainly. I'm CJ. I'm host of Beyond the Rainbow, True Crimes of the LGBT. And I really need to start changing that to LGBTQ+. It's just so long. I cover true
There's a lot of letters.
Right? Oops, I said right.
That's okay.
I cover true crime cases that have impacted the community from which I'm a part of. I am the L in my acronym. And I've also heard the acronym referred to as the Alphabet Mafia because the acronym is ever growing.
Mm-hmm.
On my show, I do a lot of lesser known cases. Occasionally, I'll delve into a more well-known case such as Matthew Shepard or Brandon Tina. I've covered some gay serial killers and some more general topics like lesbian corrective rape in South Africa, Islamic terrorist groups and their persecution of the gays, and how they do the honor killings, which just kills me that they do that. How can a family do that to their own child is beyond me.
We had one in St. Louis that we're planning to cover. It happened, I guess, in the 90s. And when that first happened, it was the first time I had ever heard of it. And it was shocking.
I think most of us in the Midwest, that's totally a foreign thing. Like, that doesn't exist. So it was huge news here.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too much. It's crazy how that happens. Having a child, how can you do that to your own child?
I can't even ground mine very often. And when I do, I cave. I cave in after like a day or two. I can't stand it.
I think, too, at the bottom line is that you're more concerned about how it looks from the outside world than the love for your own child. I don't think that's how most Americans, most people, humans, let's put it that way. That just kind of goes against what we think.
Yeah, but
right?
I would think that they would be worried about how killing their own child would look at from the outside world. That's even more important. I would think so. Us, America.
That's us. That's us.
It's rational thinking, I believe.
Yes,
but
rational thinking, exactly.
Who are we to say? Anyway, we have CJ on today because this is something we've wanted to do for a while. We just haven't had a chance to do it. CJ is going to highlight a case that she would cover on her show. And we thought that since this was Pride Month, that this would be a perfect time to highlight CJ. And we really want you to appreciate how well CJ hosts a show. And we would love for you to subscribe to our podcast.
I chose today's case because I've not covered it yet. And because I know how much y'all like to sing. Honestly, you guys drop a beat at nearly every opportunity. So I thought I would bring some LGBTQ plus musical crime your way.
All right. Sounds great.
I've never heard anything so perfect to Jennifer's ears in my whole life. The girl does not know a lyric. I can't.
I usually hold back, but
it's hard.
It's one of my gifts.
One of her talents. Trivia night for music. You got to take Jen. I am so excited. I cannot wait. Let's go.
Well, first I have a question for you. Do you guys know what trap music is?
I do because I'm a high school teacher. Yes. But I went down a dark road trying to figure out what that was. But yes, I do.
Well,
two chains.
For those who aren't sure, it's a subgenre of hip hop, and it uses a lot of synthesized drum beats. The lyrics are oftentimes about drugs, sex, and violence, and life on the streets. The artist I'd like to tell you about was actually a Latin trap artist, and his name was Kevin Frett. He was also categorized as a pop singer and a rapper. As well, Kevin was versed in playing the snare drum. I had to look up what a snare drum is because I wouldn't know a snare drum from my ass. Except
I used to play the snare drum.
Did you? Well, I do know that
I was a drummer in high school.
A snare drum is less saggy than my ass. But what you just said, a snare drum is what a lot of high school, college bands, you'll see the drummers using in marching bands. And I think that's why it's called a field drum too, I think. Mm-hmm. Is it called a field drum?
Usually we always just a snare. It's the one that you wear on the front of your person, and it's just the single drum. A trap set would be the whole set of drums.
Okay.
Like would have the bass drum, the snare, the tom-toms, the cymbals. But the one right in the middle is always going to be your snare drum.
Okay, cool.
So,
Kevin was very versed in playing that. Just like you, Jen.
I wouldn't say that, but yeah, I used to play.
Kevin was born in 1994 on the Caribbean island of Puerto Rico. Now, if you two bust into singing West Side Story tunes, I'm going to completely understand that. You go ahead.
I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty.
No.
When you're a jet, you're a jet
all the way.
From the first cigarette to your last dying day.
No, Cam?
I'm not a show tune kind of person. Movies, TV, I'm on it.
Fair. Puerto Rico is, as of now, only considered U.S. territory. There was a bill put into motion in 2017 that could ratify Puerto Rico as our 51st state in the year 2025. I didn't know that. I thought that was
They've been working on that for a while.
Yeah, I thought they were already a state, but I guess not.
Nope, they should be.
Kevin came out as gay to his family when he was 18. His family, to say the least, wasn't pleased because they were a very, very, very religious family. They didn't support Kevin at all, at least at first. They became much more supportive years later when Kevin gained a celebrity status, which is kind of sad too. It just kind of bothers me because you should support your kid whether they have fame or not. And it's really frustrating for me to hear stories of people who put their religion before their family and especially their children.
If you're not going to love your child no matter what, whether they're gay, whatever they decide they're going to be, if you can't love your kid because of that, maybe you should sit back and think, maybe I shouldn't have kids.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And coming out, I don't know if you guys have experienced too much of this because I know you both have been married to men, but maybe not personally, but maybe someone in a family or a family friend or something has come out. But coming out can be a really hard step to take for almost anyone. You worry about everything. And I think most importantly, you worry, will your family still love you? Or will they disown you? Your friends abandon you. And when I came out, I went through all of it. I even worried about my job. I was afraid. I worked with kids and I was afraid somebody was going to find out and I was going to lose my job.
Could only imagine how scary that must have been.
It was horrible. It was. And I was at the grocery store one night when I was thinking about coming out. And I was at the cash register and I was checking out and I just totally lost it. I started laughing and then I started crying. And I know there's people thought I, 5150. They wanted to call
She's
crazy on me.
She's on drugs.
It was a lot of stress for my head at the time. And I
can only imagine.
I was in my mid-20s, so came out a little later in life. But back to Kevin. He started to get into the musical spotlight in 2016 because he was competing. Actually, he got to get on television. He was competing in these Puerto Rican music shows, kind of like we have here, The Voice. Mm-hmm. Theirs was called La Banda, one of them. La Banda, and it means the band. And another one was Solo Tu Voz. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I think the V is a B. So Solo Tu Voz. And it means just the voice. Those were Kevin's first steps to becoming a musical sensation in Puerto Rico. He was being noticed and turned to social media to market himself. He marketed himself as an up-and-coming music sensation. Kevin worked hard for the next 2 years to get noticed by the people in Puerto Rico and elsewhere as an up-and-coming musical star. By 2018, at the age of 24, he was just who he wanted to be. He was a rising star to the Latin trap music culture. So Kevin used his sexuality as a means to make him a standout. This was a hugely bold move in a homo-transphobic Puerto Rico. Yes, of course, there's pop singer Ricky Martin, who's gay, and also from Puerto Rico. But Ricky is...
Biggest crush on Ricky.
Ricky is what is called in the RuPaul Drag Race world as total trade, meaning he's a gay dude that looks like he's totally straight.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin couldn't pass for trade. Oh, yeah. Kevin couldn't pass this total trade. He presented himself as proudly flamboyant, and he sported glitter lip gloss, makeup, sometimes pink hair, sometimes white, sometimes frosted. Along with that, he had very feminine, sexy clothing.
So he was kind of true to himself.
He was very true to himself, Jen. And, I have to say I'm proud of him for that.
Me too.
Exactly.
In his first music video, Soy Así, which translates to I'm like this, Kevin is wearing makeup, a glittery, zip-up feminine crop top, and he has matching tight glittery pants. Kevin was a very pretty man, and he actually looked even prettier in makeup. With Kevin's newly acquired fame in Puerto Rico, and he was deemed the first openly gay trap artist in Puerto Rico, he became an advocate for the LGBTQ plus community. On top of that, and this is another thing I'm proud of him for, he became a huge advocate for anti-bullying.
Oh, it's awesome.
A lot of his anti-bullying rhetoric he would post on social media. However, Kevin did piss off the LGBTQ plus members because there was a point when he publicly announced being gay is a choice, and that's what he chooses.
What?
Yeah. It was kind of a dumb thing to say. When there's scientific facts, a person's sexual orientation is directly related to our genetic code.
I was going to say, because I never chose to be straight.
Right.
I mean, I never had a conscious decision to...
You didn't choose it?
I did not.
It was a choice
for
me.
It came naturally to me.
Oh, see, if it was a choice for me, I totally would choose to be straight.
There's much easier life.
Thank
honestly.
you. Yes.
It really is.
Exactly.
And I would think that he could choose to be proudly gay, but not necessarily choose to be gay. Unless maybe he just, he was young. Who knows?
Well, not
Do you
only
think he
that.
wanted to
Yes. I think he was trying to rile up the troops and, piss people off to get more publicity. Is that what you're going to say, Jen? Did I finish it off for you?
Bad publicity. There's no such thing as bad publicity, right?
Right.
Yeah. But you don't want your people mad at you either. I mean, there's a fine line,
Well, I just don't think he realized the backlash he might get from the community for that.
That's a pretty big thing. That's a large statement. I mean, that goes against everything.
Mm-hmm. Well, and for years, the community has fought that, saying,
right.
Just
well, it's like I said, it's a scientific fact. It's in our genetic coding. There was a speculation at first that homosexual people had one gay gene. Hi, I'm Gene, and I'm here to make you queer. No, it's actually a combination of genes that are in your genetic makeup, and that's what creates your orientation. There's 5 spots in the human genome that determines whether we're gay or straight. And I'm not sure if the same is for gender identity or all other sexualities like bi, pan, or asexual. I didn't dive that deep into the research.
Well, damn it, CJ.
I'm sorry. I'll go back. Can we stop here and I'll just go back and
go look it up?
I'll deep dive into it. You know, when I first started podcasting almost 2 years ago, I decided to look into the science behind what forms our sexual orientation, just so I could be equipped to answer any hate mail I might get regarding being a lesbian. I never got a single piece of hate mail. I'm so happy.
Oh, that's amazing, though.
That really is.
Yay!
Well, not hate mail for being a lesbian. I've got hate mail for other things.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, but I've heard that's when you know you've made it.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. That's what I've heard, too. Keep waiting for somebody to tell us. We're getting the mail, but we're not getting the made it email.
When Kevin announced that being gay is a choice, he not only pissed off the community, but he pissed off many scientists and Lady Gaga for disrespecting her song Born This Way. But Kevin, he continued to live unapologetic for the comment, and he continued to excel in the music industry. He then went to work on another music video with Latin singer Mike Duran. The two collaborated on a music video called Differente. I'm sure you could figure out the translation for that one.
Different.
Oh, very good. Oh
Thanks.
my God. Isn't that a 2 Chainz song?
I took Spanish for 7 years, but only 3 credits. Yeah,
Oh.
figure that out. I had a little problem passing.
Sounds like me in algebra.
Yep, there you go.
Camila had the same problem with algebra.
Yeah,
Thank
that's true.
God I'm perfect and I passed everything
Oh, whatever.
the first time.
Oh, I said whatever.
Uh-oh.
Here comes the hate mail, CJ.
Oh, God, it's for your show, not mine.
Sure. True.
I can take it.
Okay.
Come at me, bro.
At the start of 2018, Kevin opened up to his social media fan base. He had gotten liposuction and butt augmentation. And after that, he moved to Miami, Florida. I don't know how those two kind of intermingle, but I thought they might be fun just to tell you that.
Florida.
Miami.
Yes,
Florida.
and you know,
God love him.
when he went to Miami, that's when the trouble started to follow Kevin. In June, he was in an elevator in Miami in a condo. And this other dude, he started dishing out homophobic slurs at Kevin. Kevin wasn't taking it. He got pissed and he threw a metal bottle at the guy. He hit the guy in the head with the metal bottle. I've been trying to wrap my head around this. A metal bottle. Well, I don't think it's a soda. Could it have been a flask? Maybe?
Or a beer. You know how they have like the Bud. Remember how
They're
they came out
aluminum
with that?
bottles.
And they're not heavy at all. A glass
Unless
bottle
they're
would
full.
Well, if it's full, yeah.
Yeah, but it's still not like a glass bottle.
So it's more like an aluminum bottle.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I was just wondering how he could do any damage to this guy. It didn't say that the guy was hurt, but the big mouth guy, he pressed charges against Kevin. And Kevin, poor Kevin, he got arrested for aggravated assault. At the hearing, the judge went ahead and lessened the charge from aggravated assault to simple assault, which I didn't realize there were 2 different things. But Kevin didn't have to serve any jail time. He was released with a $1,500 fine. 2 more things would buzz around Kevin's career that year. First, there was another Latin trap artist who goes by Anuel, and I think it's AA. It could be AA. I don't know.
Like the battery?
Yeah, but
Okay.
I think he goes by Anuel AA. He put out a single and it had homophobic slurs and talk about HIV. The whole gist of the song basically called out his enemy and former friend, another Latin rapper named Coscuela. And I think I'm pretty close with the pronunciation. It's not
It
going to be
sounds
dead on.
like-
Sorry, everyone. The song strongly suggested Coscuela and Kevin were having a homosexual affair. And I swear these Latin trap artists seem to be very cutthroat with each other. But I guess it's not much different here with American rappers and all the bravado that flies around them. You have Chris Brown and Drake. They've feuded. 50 Cent and Ja Rule. They've feuded. Kanye and T Swift. Okay, that last one's a joke. That's Taylor Swift. But sometimes she thinks she's pretty gangster.
It's kind of a feud. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely
Well,
a feud.
I think so too. And I think it's all about egos.
Very.
The second incident that involved Kevin also involved another Latin singing artist. And this one's name is Ozuna. And I'm almost positive I got that pronunciation correct. Now, there was conflicting reports on the timeline of when this incident occurred. Some say it happened in 2017, and some say it happened in 2018. It's possible it all started in 2017, but what appeared to be the conclusion of it occurred in 2018, because that's the year we're on right now.
Okay.
So, nevertheless, word around was that 26-year-old Ozuna and Kevin had also been in a sexual relationship together. Somehow, and I don't know how because I couldn't find out why or how, Kevin got his hands on a video of Ozuna doing very personal, intimate sexual things to himself. Ozuna was just 16 years old when he made this film.
Ooh, so a little bit of child
pornography. Yeah. Apparently, this video had been edited to make it look even more messed up for Ozuna should somebody leak it. And that's because Ozuna had the fame now. Well, our boy Kevin, he decided he was going to blackmail Ozuna with the tape. Or at least that's how Ozuna was interpreting it. And, if I was Ozuna, I think I'd interpret it the same way. Kevin asked for money, but what he really wanted was for Ozuna to release a song with him. Ozuna told him no, he wouldn't collaborate on a song with him. He'd just give him some money. Kevin wasn't the only one with a copy of this tape, though. After Ozuna made payment of $50,000 to Kevin, he traveled to the Miami FBI field office. And because Kevin was living there now, Ozuna filed a report against him. But for some reason, he soon dropped the report. On January 10th, 2019, around 5:30 in the morning, Kevin was riding his motorcycle through the Santurce neighborhood of San Juan, Puerto Rico. There was somebody identified only as a male that was accompanying him on another motorcycle. 8 bullet casings were found at the scene. 2 of the bullets struck Kevin, one in his hip and one in his head. Kevin was taken to the nearest hospital, and he died later that morning. The male who was riding along with him fled the scene, and authorities have been searching for him for questioning. So let's talk about this neighborhood that he was killed in Santurce. I guess years ago it used to be a sketchy, deadly area in Puerto Rico. Even restaurant owners were fearful for the safety of their customers when the customers would pay after they ate and walk out to their cars. To Google Santurce, older descriptions called it the barrio, the slums, just a bad area. But it has transformed considerably since then. Santurce is now a very artsy, hipster-type community. In spite of all the newer avant-garde approach, I believe every area, no matter where it is, still has rough parts. So I'm not exactly sure if the part that Kevin was driving through was a sketchy area. Kind of sounds like it might be if he's going to get murdered there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and like with the artists, let's be honest, the artsy people like that kind of stuff. Like it's very
murder.
It's more not murder, not that part. Just the more creative areas of town. I mean, I do.
Yeah.
It's not always safe.
You mean to go into a scarier part of town?
Well, no, but I'm saying let's talk about St. Louis. Grand Avenue is not the safest, but that's where all the really artsy people are. Very beautiful shops, boutiques, things like that.
Kevin's murder is still a mystery, and while he made many people happy with his musical flair, he also pissed off quite a few people in his short 24 years of life. Some information about Kevin's burial that came as kind of a surprise to me. He was buried at the Fairview Cemetery in Chicopee, Hampton County, Massachusetts. Kevin actually went to high school in Chicopee, and that's where his family had moved to from Puerto Rico. So I guess he actually had spent more time in the U.S. than I really had realized. How about we dig into some theories about this case? Kevin's mom was interviewed on an American radio show. She thinks Ozuna and his manager are the ones who called a hit on Kevin. She's also the one who, when she was interviewed, believed that Kevin and Ozuna were in an intimate relationship together. So I think it was her that started the rumor.
Mm-hmm.
After that, the police questioned Ozuna's manager for over 3 hours. And then they decided, along with a prosecutor, neither Ozuna or his manager are people of interest. Let's move on to the next one. There is yet another singer that the prosecution announced that they were going to interview. I don't know where all these Latin trap singers are coming from, but they're just coming out of the woodworks. There was a musical artist named Archangel. But my assumption from that interview is that nothing came of it because no one was arrested. Some think that because Kevin was so boisterous and loud with his gay pride, somebody killed him for that. They are positive it was absolutely a hate crime. And it wouldn't be the first time it happened to an LGBTQ plus member for advocating for the community. But I have to be honest. As much as I get angry when the police won't call a hate crime, I tend to believe Kevin wasn't killed for his sexuality. Now, for the man who was seen riding the motorcycle alongside of Kevin, he could have been Kevin's killer. That's what I initially thought. Because where would he have gone if he wasn't the killer? How did he escape 8 bullets fired? And I'm assuming that it was 8 bullets fired because there were 8 casings found. Yeah. Trying to put together an educated guess on what happened to Kevin and who caused his death, I know it can be done. It's just not well done. We have too many unknowns. So, Jen, tell me what you're thinking. I'm dying to know.
Well, my first thought was the guy that was riding with him. Possibly. He was the shooter. The other, since they can't figure out who it was just a random shooting.
Just to kill someone or to rob?
Just random. Maybe a bad part of town, right? Not a great part of town.
Yeah, but it was 5:30 in the morning. That's so early.
See, I have a different...
You're right. Bad guys like to sleep in. I mean...
You're right.
They're on a schedule. They've got to get up early in the morning. You know, usually the random killings are the hardest ones to figure out.
CJ,
and
as you were saying this really did hark back to, and I hate to say this, Biggie and Tupac. You know, if you're talent and you can be taken out, we're going to take you out. You know what I'm saying? And it's horrible. But also, and this is a sad state, but if you're gay and you think that you could do this and then kind of blame it on a hate crime or covered up, right? And so maybe they were lovers, but maybe that guy knew you're a better artist than I am. You're more proud of yourself. You're more the self-esteem,
jealousy.
Jealousy. So
which other artist do you mean? Archangel? Or the one that was being blackmailed?
No, the one that he was kind of having the affair with. But they could be together. Who knows?
Okay.
You know?
That was the one he was blackmailing, Ozuna.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Suge Knight took people out that was going to affect his people. Like, you know, Vanilla Ice, he hung him upside down from the banister at the balcony in Vegas. And when you have a cute little guy like Kevin, and he is talented, it's sad, but...
Well, you know, some of the questions I'd like to know answers for is where was Kevin even coming from at that time in the morning? And where was he headed to? I'd like to know the identification of the guy on the motorcycle who was riding with him. That would tell us a lot. And whatever his story was.
Have the police not tracked him down at all?
They have not been able to find him.
So they have no clue who he is?
Right.
Nobody saw Kevin that night or that morning, the day before? Nothing?
He was young. He could have been out partying. He could have done anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know, Ozuna, the guy that he was rumored by Kevin's mom to have an affair with, his manager was brought in by the police for an interview. It had nothing to do with Kevin's death. And it had everything to do with the blackmailing.
And this was after Kevin was killed. They only brought him in?
His manager ever interviewed after Kevin's death about Kevin's death? I don't think so. That doesn't make any sense.
Also, though, were they connected? Were they connected in the community that they could have paid off cops and things like that to?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Or
I mean, anything's possible. But if they were so connected, well, I guess because Kevin moved to Florida. I was going to say, why did Ozuna need to fly to Miami to hit up the FBI there to file a formal complaint against Kevin? But Kevin was living there at the time. Maybe that's why.
That's interesting, too, though, in the sense that usually you would go to where you live. Am I wrong?
Well, no, I think you're right. But do they have FBI in Puerto Rico?
It's a
I
U.S.
don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
U.S.
It's a U.S.
it's a-
territory, but would they have an office there, a field office?
Well, or fly there. Somebody has to be assigned there, I would think.
yeah, I
Let
don't
me
know.
ask the Google and see what they say.
Oh, great Google, please tell us.
They have to
FBI
be.
San Juan field office.
Yeah, I would think
Huh,
so.
Yeah.
right there.
They would.
Hmm.
But where was the tape released? Right? That's why they went to.
I don't think it was
The FBI?
released. It was just,
Blackmail
I
kind of
got
thing.
this over your head. You got to sing with
Right.
me. And if you don't, I want money.
And
It
this
was never
happened while
released.
Kevin was living where?
Kevin was in Miami,
And they went to the Florida
field
FBI.
office. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I think,
That's probably why.
but
because
I
if
would think
Kevin-
you would start out in Puerto Rico and then they would come together, wouldn't you?
Right. They could contact the Miami office from Puerto Rico.
I mean, if somebody from, say, I don't know, California was harassing me, I'm going to start in Missouri because that's where we're from. And then I would think that those people would contact the Californians.
Well, you would hope. Wouldn't you rather go
Right.
straight to the source and say,
Yeah, but I don't know them and I'm from Missouri. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but I'm just
FBI
saying if Ozuna was connected in Puerto Rico with police and higher ups, I think he would have taken it there. So I
and
don't
maybe
think
he
he was.
did, and they told him to go to Miami?
Well, that's not much of a being connected with him, then, is it?
No. Yeah.
No. But I'm sure there's a lot of things we don't know.
You know, I just have a real crummy feeling that Kevin's case is going to be cold forevermore, unless somebody comes forward. There just doesn't seem to be any evidence. There's no cameras.
Do you think it was
anything.
random?
I don't know.
Like in your
I
heart of
kinda
hearts?
don't.
See, that's what
I
I
don't.
think. I think no. I think if he was just a regular guy, not popular, not a recording artist, not somebody coming up in the ranks and was killed, it'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's road rage, whatever. But then he's getting blackmailed and he was,
He's blackmailing people, though.
but
Correct? Kevin was blackmailing.
Yeah, Kevin was doing the blackmailing.
there you go. So that there is a reason. Like, I don't think it's random.
Guy he was blackmailing, he is never considered a suspect or even a person of interest, nor his manager. And I think that's probably a good place to look.
I would think that would be your first place to start out with, unless the people in San Juan are not going to look into it because of his sexual preference.
Yeah, I was going to
But you would
say,
think,
and here's the
It's a
sad
high
part,
profile. Mm-hmm.
is this has been for ages, and it's been in many, many places. LGBTQ just don't matter to
They-
a lot of people and law enforcement. They're like bottom feeders. And I'm sorry to say that, and I don't want to sound like, well, I'm angry about this, but, it's sad. Because
you're
LGBTQ plus, we're humans, yes. We're people.
You're somebody's child. You're somebody's daughter, somebody's son. You matter. Everybody freaking matters. I don't understand why one.
And here,
It bothers me.
I think is kind of the messed up thing, and this is old school, but I guarantee it's part of it, is that, and Jen and I, we've talked about this, so have you on your podcast, that if you live a lifestyle that could put you in danger, and a lot of people think because you're gay, you live a dangerous life, which is the craziest thing ever. You know what I'm saying?
Loose morals.
Yes, and so it's like,
Living
they're gay. Oh, okay. Well, what?
Well, you know what? I kind of tend to believe I do live a dangerous life because I'm having a really hard time finding a place that I'm going to feel safe to move to.
Well, and just everything.
And it's just because of who I am, and I choose to live my truth. I mean, I'm not parading around in a beard and a mustache.
Mm-hmm. In a way, when, say, Jen and I get out of a car because we're straight, female, versus a gay or lesbian, then like a t-shirt or whatever, you become a target. And that alone is scary. I mean, that's frightening. That's horrible. And it shouldn't be like that. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with people. I don't get it.
I choose to wear my hair short. I am in a little bit of danger just because of that, which is stupid. Because, you know, people look at me like, are you a man or a woman? I'm sorry, if these breasts don't give it away. The other day in the supermarket, a man, he was trying to get in line and I was in the other line and he said, sir, do you want to go ahead of me? And I said, it's ma'am, but you go ahead. You know,
you need to go first since you can't see, right?
Right. Usually I'll turn it around and call, you know, the man a ma'am, but I didn't do it that time because I felt kind of bad for him.
And you know what? That's very, Jen knows. I love short hair. I've had short hair. I'll get frustrated and just like cut my hair. I shaved my head and like dyed it blonde. I'll do stuff like that. And that I've never had that issue. Like I've never.
Wow.
So, and that's how messed up that is. You know what I mean?
I dress like a teenage boy too. That might not help.
Do you see what I'm wearing? Well, you can't see what I'm wearing. I have a.
You're in the closet. I can't see.
Literally. I always wear big clothes. I've always worn. Ask Jen. I'm not whatever. I just don't.
80s kids. We've always had big boxy clothes. I mean, that's just how
I have
80s kids.
Right now, I have boy shorts on from Walmart and a big blue T-shirt.
I think it's either obviously failed police report, or it was just some kind of random. I even hate to say this. I mean, it very could well be he was the. I want to say Azuzu, but it's not Azuna.
Azuna, yes.
Azuna. He could have targeted Kevin, but just for some reason, I just feel that it's a random, because if we don't know why he was down there at that time, how would anybody else have known? Unless it is the second bike rider.
Right. Unless he had something to do with Ozuna. I mean,
right.
And there's just so many different things it could be.
Were the 8 casings in the same spot?
They were in the same area, yes.
Same area?
What does his mom feel?
She thinks it's Ozuna and his manager.
See, I think it was a hit. I swear to goodness.
That's what she believes, yeah.
I do. I just do. Jen, and this harks back to Jen and I, but I remember Jen, maybe you want me to say this or not, but Jen gave me a call in the middle of the night and she was on Kings Highway in St. Louis by herself and we were young and I had to go get her. Well, she's on the corner of the street. You go to places you probably wouldn't go, but when you're young, you think you're invincible. You do things that you would never do. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, Kings Highway for, what were you, 22, 21? I don't know.
Something like that.
And like I went to go pick her 24. Up and it was, I don't even know what time. It was after midnight, I do believe. And that's the thing. Like when you're young, you do these things.
Unsafe.
Yes. Blasted he was flamboyant. You see what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's an art community.
Yeah.
Much more liberal, much more tolerant. Although I've never been to Puerto Rico or San Juan, Puerto Rico, so I don't know for sure.
Well,
I think it was a hit.
To me, it sounds like the police looking into it have totally failed their job. It's not public, or if no one knows why he was down there, who he was with. If they haven't even asked his friends, then that would be police work 101. I would even know how to start. And
here's the thing. Apparently, right after Kevin's murder, police received a lot of anonymous tips. They even had 2 guys that they were looking at as suspects. But that was over 2 years ago, and nothing more has been moving forward in this case.
Well, that's a sad state, and I'm not surprised at all. I'm not. Again, if it was like cute little 4-year-old blonde girl, no, I shouldn't say that, but it's true. You know what I'm saying? It is true. And it's just, they chalk it up to, well, you know, he knew what he was doing, blah, 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 but not.
But yet, you know, Cam, not to argue with you, but they still haven't found who killed Madeline McCann.
No,
they don't even know if she's dead.
But look how much publicity.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. She's missing. They haven't found her.
But look how much publicity that she got versus all the other kids in the world.
Have you ever heard of Kevin Frett before?
No. No.
Exactly.
And Jen and I are pretty, I mean, I like to think we're pretty well read. We're allies of the LGBTQ, all of that. Like my kids' best friends are gay. We grew up with gay. Our best friends are gay. And that goes to another word.
It's just that one time at that one place. And Nobody seems to know. I mean, we asked that one person and they didn't know. So let's just file it away and maybe something will come
And
up
you know
later.
what? It's not just the Puerto Rican police.
No, it
It happens everywhere.
across the world. And it's the
Yeah.
same. And Jen and I talk about this, like with prostitutes and people that, sex workers. And they comment, well, they were sex work. Well, they're somebody's kid. They're somebody's
And
kid.
they're
It
right
doesn't
down there as
matter.
bottom feeders with us. Yeah?
Exactly. And I think people still look at that with gay and lesbians or trans, the poor trans kids. I mean, I see it all the time. These are people. They're people. Seriously. They have more feelings towards an animal than they do a human.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Absolutely. I would like to thank you guys for having me, and I appreciate you so much. I would also like to, if I can just do a shameless plug for my
Of course.
website, beyondtherainbowpodcast.com. And there you can find out all the episodes I've done so far. I have a list of missing but not forgotten LGBTQ people. I have photos from my past cases. I just got a whole bunch of stuff on there.
And we can find your podcast where?
Wherever you're listening to this one.
Awesome. You're everywhere.
I do have a quick question because because I'm nosy, just like Jen. So what would you say is the hardest, most difficult case that you've had to cover? Because Jen and I talk about this sometimes. Like, both of us try to be professional, but sometimes you're human and you get a little choked up. What would you say?
And, I have to say I can name 5 right now. And it's all ones that I have had some kind of personal connection with family members or friends. There is still active missing Diana Gonzalez. She is a missing young lady from Yuma, California. And it really, really looks like her partner at the time did something with her. This woman, her partner, ex-partner, very shady, big history of abuse, domestic abuse, and has even had like wigs found in premises she used to live in so she could be hiding away from the police. Just that one. Also, another one really near and dear to my heart is Ray Hainish. He was a gay man who was murdered by a well-known, pretty well-known criminal named Garrett Kurtz. And Garrett Kurtz has even been looked at for the Delphi murders, but I don't know if anything will come of that because there's a lot of suspects for that one. He apparently met up with Ray, and he said he accidentally killed him in a sex act gone wrong, that he choked Ray to death. Well, Garrett Kurtz is now serving time in prison for murdering a young lady who might have been there that night, and he did it the same way, choking her to death. After Garrett murdered Ray, he had a party. All his friends were there. So I really don't think there was a romp in the bedroom with Ray. I think he just murdered Ray. I have another one. It's a trans woman in New Mexico that I did with my other friend, Eric from True Consequences podcast.
Yep, we will be seeing him on the weekend of July 2nd, but we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Nice. Yeah, at the Kansas City?
True Crime Podcast Festival.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish I could afford it. We covered Zakaria Fry, who's a trans woman, pretty young trans woman who was murdered with her roommate, who is an older man, but he was a cross-dresser. And they were driven miles away from their home in Albuquerque. And they were found, Zakaria was found in a garbage bin on this guy's ranch. And the farmer of the ranch, he was driving and he saw it. And he saw it for about a week. And he got damn sick of looking at this garbage can he didn't recognize. And he stopped and he opened it up and there was a garbage bag in it. And I think it was a little stinky, but not too bad. He started feeling around in the bag and felt toes. And thought it was a young woman. And not too long after that, like a couple hours later, the roommate was found in this big gray chest. And he had been found dead also. his hands were chopped off. It just, and Eric interviewed Zachariah's sister, and I got a lot of my information from her. And she did so much more of the detective work than any of the cops ever would have thought to. She found the guy who did it. She led the cops to him because the cops wouldn't do anything after she provided the information. And it just, those are the ones that really touch me.
They're
hard.
They are.
Did you
hard.
cover
It's
Jason
horrible.
Fox?
I did. That's another one. Jason
And you spoke
Fox,
with his mother, correct?
his mom. Through DM a little bit. I really didn't talk to Pepper much until afterwards, but that one was just a really sad case. A 19-year-old gay boy living in a very conservative town in Newport, Washington, and
this just happened in October of last year.
And then the guys who murdered him, well, allegedly murdered him because the trial underway now, they were squatting on this 54-acre ranch. And they had no business being there, but that's where they killed Jason. They buried him. And
now they invited him out.
One
correct?
guy did.
And
one
then
guy
he
did.
Didn't he turn to somebody and say, if I have a bad feeling about this or something like
Jason
that?
did?
Well, yes. Jason. Okay. So he was invited out by this guy, Claude. And Jason said, I don't want to go if so-and-so is going to be there because, we have bad blood. And I don't want to see him. And Claude, he assured him, oh, no, I don't need that kind of drama in my life either. They're not going to be there. Don't worry about it. Just a party. Come on. So Jason agreed to, and he went and picked up Claude. And I think Claude just needed a ride. Or he was setting Jason up, which is a very good possibility. Took him out to this 54-acre, it was actually a wedding venue. Took him out to this place.
What state was this?
Washington.
Okay.
Took him out to the wedding venue where the party was supposed to be happening. And there were a lot of people there, from what I understand. And it just seems like more possible suspects are coming out of the woodworks, too. And that's all Jason's mom, Pepper, finding all this out. She's the one pulling him out of the woodworks. So anyway, they invited him out, and they somehow got him in a woodworking shop and started beating him and ended up killing him.
And he was 19.
Yep.
Young boy.
He's a baby.
Yep. There's another one also that actually got very close to the Friends. And it's of Lisa Lynn Stone in Texas. And it's unsolved to this day. And it looks very good that her girlfriend is the one, Sherry Henry is the one that took care of her, did something with her. And
Like killed her?
Yes.
Why?
Good question.
Lover spat? Jealousy?
Just sick of each other after, what were they together, like 15 years?
So domestic violence knows no limit. Yeah. I mean, it hits any relationship. It doesn't have to be
What's her
heterosexual.
name again?
Lisa Lynn Stone.
Okay. I'm going to look it up.
Listen to it.
I will.
Yeah, listen to it.
That's right.
Because I got really comfortable with one of her friends. And her friends were actually on, I don't remember the show, but it was a show they were on, and it was called The Facebook Detectives was the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
And through Facebook, they were trying to solve what happened to Lisa Lynn Stone. And one of her friends was very forthcoming with information, but didn't want to be known because the ex-girlfriend has threatened all of them before,
Well,
including their jobs, their families.
if you can kill somebody that you love and you've been with for 15 years, do you think that you would hesitate to kill somebody that's going to get in your way?
That you don't hardly even know? No.
Nope.
It's a shame.
And there's more. It's just,
It never ends,
it's
does
the
it?
ones that I talk to, the ones that mean so much to me,
Mm-hmm.
the cases.
Mm-hmm.
They all mean a lot to me because it's getting the word out about victims that aren't usually known.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that everybody needs to know, the stories of these victims.
Mm-hmm.
I get that it gets more personal because you actually get to know them. All of these stories are horrifying and they're sad and it's terrible. But once you get to know somebody close to them, you're that much closer to them. And it
just makes it more real because you're speaking with.
Definitely.
It's that 7
Definitely
degrees
tugs
of
on
separation.
your heartstrings more.
Mm-hmm.
There's another, here I go. There's another one. And it's so great to have when a listener will reach out to you and say, hey, my friend was murdered this year. Not this year, but several years ago and this year. Could you possibly cover her case? And that's what happened with the case of Alex Flanagan, she was a lesbian in Canada. And I was able to touch bases with another one of our friends, Genevieve Germain from
Jen.
Real Crime, True Time. No, True Crime, Real Time. Oh my gosh.
Real Crime. Yeah. No, I know who you're talking about.
True Crime, Real Time. Genevieve
I love Jen.
Germain.
She's so sweet.
It was right in her area that it pretty much happened, not too far from her. And she went and picked the friend up and she did an interview with the friend and they went and visited all the sites and the points of interest in the case. And I covered the whole case and it was like a Mr. Big case. Because I think the Royal Canadian Police really like to do the Mr. Big stings.
Yes.
And yes, and that's what they did for that case.
Which is illegal in the U.S., FYI.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, I think it's a great thing.
Yep.
We should do it.
Nope. The U.S., it's illegal.
I didn't know that.
We take all the fun out of things.
Yeah, you do. I mean, we do.
It's kind of it's an easy sting, honestly. The whole thing that was two kids and they pulled that on them. They were teenagers. And that's how I learned about that one. Yeah.
And it's True Crime Real Time.
Thank you.
Yeah. I had to look it up too.
I said that one in amongst the three that other ones I said.
I know. I always get confused with Mike from Brew Crime,
True Crime. Brew Time. Brew Time. Nope. Brew Time, True Crime. That's right. Right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so.
Mike Garson. He's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Made some good friends in the podcasting world. I love it.
Yes. You know what? That's really nice how supportive we can all get with one another. Mm-hmm. I tell you what, with COVID and everything, I think even without COVID, I finally have some friends. I haven't had friends in so long because I've moved around so much lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The podcasting community, you guys have been my friends. And you're who I talk to if I need an ear and who I hopefully will be able to give an ear back if you need mine.
You do all the time. Because Jen and I, when we do something with the gay, lesbian, LGBTQ, we're like, hey, should we run this past CJ?
Yeah.
Like, you're like our specialist, just to make sure we get the...
I'm your token lesbian.
You are. Actually, you are. You're our token lesbian podcaster. Bam.
But you're always our friend. So, CJ, we want to thank you so much for coming on to our show.
Thank you guys too. This was awesome.
Yes.
So much fun with you guys.
Oh, we love having you. And thank you. You're the bright spot in our little day. I've always had to deal with Camille all the time.
I know, right? Now it's so nice to see somebody else.
A bright spot, even though we're talking about murder.
Well, yeah. But anyway,
just
thank you so much.
A bright person. Put it that way.
Oh, okay. I'll take it.
Remember,
it's not a crime to be gay.
Unless you're a murderer.
Anyway, CJ, thank you so much for being here. I hope all of you enjoyed today's episode and you go to your podcast app and subscribe to Beyond the Rainbow with CJ. She's a doll. You'll love her. So anyway.
And until next time, remember, lock your doors.
And keep passing by those open windows.
Bye-bye.
Love ya.
For those who aren't sure, it's a subgenre.
That's what Nico will cut out, but he'll put that at the end.
That'll be a blooper.
That's a blooper.
That's a blooper, CJ. One of us.
For those who aren't sure, it's a subgenre of... Did I say genre right? Genre.
I think so.
That's right.
Genre.
Quick, let's do a pronunciation thing.
PronounceNames.com.
Yeah, it's genre.
It's a subgenre of hip hop.
Coscuela. How does it?
Cosculla. Coscuela.
Yeah, I would say
All
that's
right.
exactly right. And I know I've had Spanish.
For 3 credits in 7 years.
That's right.
But we're
No
not
judge.
mentioning that.
No judge.
The song strongly suggested Conscuela in
Coscuela.
Oh, here comes Jen with her.
Coscuela.
There you go.
Coscuela.
Okay.
Coscuela.
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 But there's an N in it. C-O-N. You don't say that?
Oh. No, because I spelled that wrong. CONSC.
CJ, this is our life. This is it.
It came up the right as rapper.
This is why we have a 30-minute episode and 2.5 hours of recording.
C-O-N-S-C-U-L-L-U-E-L-A. Conscuela.
No, it says. Here. Can you read that?
No.
It's
No.
bright white.
I don't know. Play it again. How do you say it?
There's no in.
Oh, no.
Coscuela.
So maybe I typed it wrong?
Coscuela. Coscuela.
Oh, you know what? You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. Okay.
Don't tell her she's right. See, there it all comes back to me. Don't even.
Okay. Nico, cut all that shit out. 8 bullet case. 8. I'm sorry. Nico, scratch that part, please. Oh, fuck. Okay.
CJ's us. No, you gotta say fuck me. Like Jen, you gotta say fuck me.
Fuck me.
And then I say, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's your guys' line. mine's just, oh, fuck. Okay. So, let me set this up a little better. I guess years ago, it used to be a very sketchy, deadly area in I almost said Puerto Vallarta. Oh my God. I guess years ago, this used to be a sketchy, deadly area in Puerto Rico.
That's at the
You got the
blooper.
giggles now.
That's at the bloopers there,
That's
Nico.
the
Put that at
bloopers.
the end.
Look at you go. Giggle, giggle.
God. Oh,
Puerto Rico.
okay.
Deep breath.
Nico's going, no.
It was bad enough with the first 2 idiots.
Yeah,
Now they
that's
bring
it.
in
It's
a
like,
third.
oh my God. Couldn't they at least get a decent person on here? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 3 Stooges.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong.
Oh my God. Okay. I gotta see through the tears.
Oh boy. Laughter through tears is my favorite emotion.
The worst is doing that at
Podcasting
a
is
funeral.
Oh.
Have you ever had the giggles at a
Oh
funeral?
boy. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Or in church. Ugh. How about we dig into some theory?
Theories?
Okay.
Or theories?
Theories.
I just want to say chickpea in the wind.
Chickpea in the wind.
Chickpea in the wind.
It's going to be a hell of a nightmare for poor Nico. Remember, it's not a crime to be gay.
Unless you're a murderer.
Should we hold up fingers? Do we need to do it that way?
Do you have to sing it?
Was that singing?
See, that's us. It's a little sing-songy. It is.
That's true.
It is. It is.
Should we try it one more time?
How about we do?
Okay.
Remember. Okay.